It seems we were wrong. We were wrong about the Big Bang, we were wrong about the supermassive black holes, and we were wrong about the majority of the objects that lie out there.
Look up at the night sky, and there are galaxies everywhere.
And all this was made possible through the most expensive telescope ever made.
This is huge.
From finding mysterious stars that are powered by dark matter to discovering Milky Way galaxies that were trying to hide from us, this $10 billion James Webb Telescope is astonishing scientists every day. In fact, the discoveries have reached so far that professors from around the world are claiming to rewrite history, forcing them to agree that they were wrong about how the first galaxies were formed. Starting with this very first image when it was shared back to NASA. When the James Webb Telescope was launched in 2021, its objective was to simply focus on 4 key goals. 1. To search for the earliest galaxies and stars that were formed after the Big Bang. 2. To study how the galaxies are actually formed and how they evolve over time. 3. To understand exactly how stars and planets like Earth are created. 4. And most importantly, to study how life originated in the universe, including the planetary systems. However, when the first image was shared back on Earth, everything changed at that moment. Never in the history of humankind have we seen a crystal clear image of the universe like this. It's like a work of an unknown artist. Existed 4.6 billion years ago, this is the galaxy cluster of the most distant universe from Earth. Surprisingly, James Telescope not only provided a full-colored image of the distant galaxies, but also discovered the ones that Hubble Space Telescope failed to achieve. This made us believe that the life in the universe is much bigger than we thought. And even if you try to count each one of them, it's more than 1,000 in this image. This also includes the fainted galaxies that were earlier not visible by NASA. One of its significant advantages of our Hubble Space Telescope is that James Webb orbits the Sun around 1.5 million kilometers away from the Earth, whereas the Hubble telescope orbits just 560 kilometers above Earth. As a result, the James Webb Telescope is able to peer through the points that were never possible before. Nonetheless, with President Biden praising the very first discovery by this telescope,
it's a new window into the history of our universe. And today we're going to get a glimpse of the first light to shine through that window.
Others were worried about its safety in unpredictable space. John Mather, the senior project scientist at NASA, said, "Scientists are thrilled that Webb is alive and as powerful as we hoped, far beyond Hubble, and that it survived all hazards to be our golden eye in the sky." Fortunately, if Webb's telescope did not survive all the hazards on its way, we wouldn't have known the secrets of the biggest planet in our solar system. What comes to your mind when you look at the center of Jupiter? Specifically the white thick bar covering the equatorial region of the planet. When Webb's telescope shared this astonishing image, NASA was trying to understand the mystery behind this layer. And when they did, they could not believe their eyes. It was actually a 4,800-kilometer wide high-speed jet stream that was moving at the speed of 515 kilometers per hour, a speed that is 25 kilometers faster than the fastest sports car in the world, the Bugatti Chiron Super Sports 300 Plus. Now imagine what would happen if you're forced to live in a place where wind speed consistently blows at 515 kilometers per hour. If we compare Jupiter with Earth, then some of the countries like Maldives, Brazil, Kenya, Indonesia, and Colombia live near equatorial regions. Although average temperatures in these regions remains above 30 degrees Celsius, we as humans have managed to adjust with the hot and humid climate. But if the same region on Earth gets to experience the equatorial weather of Jupiter, would we be able to survive a 500-kilometer wind speed? Now, being a gas giant, Jupiter is different from Earth's rocky surface. Yet the interesting part is Webb's telescope helped us identify that Jupiter has a layered atmosphere just like Earth. Not to mention, these stunning details of the planet that were only made possible through its near-infrared camera. Even a university professor from Bilbao, Spain, was astonished to see Webb's capabilities, stating that what we have always seen as blurred hazes in Jupiter's atmosphere now appear as crisp features that we can track along with the planet's fast rotation. Well, no matter how much you try to dig deeper into this planet, Jupiter has always managed to surprise the experts through its mysterious environment. Similarly, the universe full of galaxies is also coming up with hundreds of questions in our mind. Fortunately, with Webb's telescope's incredible capacity to see what happened 13.5 billion years ago, NASA was counting every second to witness the next breakthrough. But what they did not realize is that the next discovery would force them to rewrite the books of space exploration. When the mighty Big Bang occurred, a thick fog of hydrogen atoms dominated the universe. This period continued for the next 400 million years. The experts called it the Dark Ages until the first group of stars and galaxies began to show their image, which was around 650 million years after the Big Bang. A discovery that was made by the Hubble telescope. Well, this is what we were taught until now. However, with the most advanced telescope in space, our understanding about the universe is going to change forever. The image you're looking at is not a collage of 6 different UFOs witnessed on Earth. They are actual galaxies that existed after the Big Bang. Galaxies that did not arrive after 650 million years or a billion years of Big Bang, but after 500 million years of the event. In addition, these galaxies are as big as our Milky Way galaxy, and have even matured red stars hovering nearby. Something that is exactly the opposite of what was discovered by the Hubble Space Telescope and other instruments. That's because they only discovered small, young baby galaxies that had young stars shining in bright blue lights. But these 6 galaxies are equal to the size of 1 billion suns, and the reddish nature of the stars shows that they have been here longer than we expect. This proves that the hydrogen fog theory was just an assumption of the experts, because behind this fog, an unknown and mysterious civilization was already hiding in the universe. And all of this was made possible through the James Webb Telescope. When an assistant professor from Penn State University discovered this fact, he could not believe what he was seeing. He said, "We looked into the very early universe for the first time and had no idea what we were going to find. It turns out we found something so unexpected, it actually creates problems for science. It calls the whole picture of early galaxy formation into question." As a result, astrophysicists are now openly questioning the accepted Standard Model of Cosmology, a theory that defined the fundamental nature of the universe, claiming that the universe is thought to be about 5% ordinary matter, 27% dark matter, and 68% of dark energy. However, with the James Webb Telescope discovering life earlier than we thought, experts are stating that we find that galaxies are nearer than predicted by the Standard Model of Cosmology, corroborating a problem identified in other types of distance measurements. It is likely that the basic cosmological model involved in the predictions is the problem. But the biggest question is, what exactly lies in these Milky Way galaxies? How did they manage to adapt with the after effects of the Big Bang? And did they exist before the Big Bang? Well, the questions to such mysterious discoveries might not ever end, and the more we try to understand their origin, the more mysterious they become. The experts are also claiming that stars in the early universe also emit light in different ways. This is due to the lack of heavy elements. So before the scientists question the fundamental nature of the universe, they must look again at what the James Webb Telescope has discovered. And if this discovery is true, then this is just the beginning of exploring our mysterious universe. That's because 120 light years away from our solar system, James Webb finally discovered an alien life. For thousands of years, we've been searching for extraterrestrials that might look like us, and now it seems the search has finally come to an end. Located 124 light years away from Earth, James Webb Telescope found a planet just like ours. In fact, it is 8.6 times bigger than Earth and is located within the habitable zone of its star. This means the climate of this planet is neither too hot nor too cold for survival. They call it K2-18b.
Exoplanet has astronomers excited that it could be indeed signs of life.
With its discovery going viral worldwide, the experts were looking for specific evidence to claim that extraterrestrial beings actually exist in K2. Luckily, they found significant things that help stand by this claim. For example, K2 receives similar to average amount of solar radiation that Earth receives from the Sun. They found an ample amount of liquid water and a hydrogen-rich atmosphere. As microorganisms can survive in a hydrogen-rich atmosphere, this makes it acceptable that signs of life may exist on this planet. But the most important ingredient that baffled the experts was the presence of dimethyl sulfide, DMS, and methyl chloride in its atmosphere. You see, on Earth, DMS is responsible for maintaining the marine ecosystem. Moreover, it is a naturally occurring compound that is released by marine bacteria, algae, and other living organisms in the ocean. This means that the presence of DMS in K2 is hinting towards the presence of extraterrestrial beings in its ocean. But experts are also looking at the unexplainable atmosphere of the planet, something mysterious that they have never seen on any other planet before. Well, NASA still needs to dig deeper into this discovery and come up with evidence that the world waited for centuries. And while they were trying to understand what K2 really is, something unexpected was discovered in our solar system. With the size of 1,000 kilometers, an asteroid has the capacity to destroy an entire country. But the James Webb Telescope found one that experts never imagined. In fact, they felt lucky for finding it in our solar system because this is the smallest asteroid ever discovered. Although it's equal to the size of the Great Colosseum in Rome, among its asteroid friends in space, NASA found it to be the tiniest. Located within the main asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, this object was discovered by a mid-infrared instrument of the James Webb Telescope. However, besides its size, what makes it such an incredible discovery is the history behind this asteroid. You see, the main asteroid belt contains millions of space rocks, the same rocks that were formed 4.5 billion years ago when our solar system was born. So, keeping in mind the size of this tiny object, it could help us understand how exactly the planets were formed, including our very own Earth. After discovering the earliest galaxies, an astrophysicist from the University of Victoria in Canada was not convinced with what he saw. He believed something was missing from this discovery and began digging deeper into his mission. And when he closely analyzed the images shared by James Webb Telescope, he could not believe what he just saw. There was a striking similarity between the galaxies that existed back then and our Milky Way galaxy. It's like whatever we are now is a byproduct of the galaxies that existed back then. Or is it the other way around? When the Hubble Space Telescope discovered the earliest galaxies, it only managed to share the images of the ones that had irregular shapes. But after analyzing 3,956 galaxies by the James Webb Telescope, it becomes clear that we are not alone. By looking at the spiral arms, the rings, and the bars, it's hard to look at the difference between the two. The experts also divided these galaxies into smooth and structured forms. The results showed that galaxies that formed in a well-defined structure mature faster than others. So does this mean that there exist extraterrestrial beings in these galaxies? Or do they look similar to human beings on Earth? Well, one thing is certain. Astronomers must now rethink their understanding about how galaxies are formed and evolved in the last 10 billion years. And if the University of Victoria professor did not notice this fact, then we might have never discovered similar worlds like us. However, no matter how many similar worlds and extraterrestrial life exists in the universe, there's one thing that no one has ever escaped. A few years back, you might have noticed this image on the internet. It was going viral worldwide because scientists captured the very first image of a black hole. In fact, it was not an average black hole, but a supermassive black hole that is 50,000 times larger than our Sun. Surprisingly, there are not one but two of them in our Milky Way galaxy. But where exactly did they come from? And how did this destructive force, from which even light cannot escape, express its presence? For decades, the experts have been looking for these answers, yet there is no conclusion to its origin. Nonetheless, with the James Webb Telescope positioned at the right time, we finally have the chance to see how supermassive black holes made its presence felt. And before the experts knew it, James Webb already completed its mission. The single dot you're looking at is not a newly discovered galaxy. It is in fact a supermassive black hole that existed at the beginning of the universe. Specifically speaking, this black hole emerged just 570 million years after the Big Bang. making it the most distant supermassive black hole to ever be discovered. But this mission was not about finding the most distant black holes in the universe. It was about finding the reason that brought them into our world. Turns out it has existed since the beginning of our universe. They are more powerful and mysterious than ever before. The reason why it's visible is that it's 9 million times larger than the ones in our Milky Way galaxy, which is around 50,000 times larger than our Sun. That is why it's brighter and easier to detect through the James Webb Telescope. This discovery also baffled astronomers from University of Texas who said, until now, research about objects in the early universe was largely theoretical. With Webb, not only can we see black holes and galaxies at extreme distances, we can now start to accurately measure them. That's the tremendous power of this telescope. Well, if we analyze their statement, then they are extremely right in every word. That's because before James Webb, other advanced telescopes, including Hubble Space, managed to cover only this part of the universe. The blue color that you're noticing in this image is the one that other telescopes discovered in their lifetime. Although they helped us discover 2 supermassive black holes in our galaxy, the rest of the universe was still left unexplored. This shows how easily James Webb surpassed all of the previous technologies and is coming up unexplored regions of the universe. Surprisingly, the most distant black hole in the universe is still active, and the galaxy that hosts this beast is Sears 1019. But how can it arrive just 570 million years after the Big Bang? According to experts, it takes around 1 billion years for stars and galaxies to emerge, whereas Sears 1019, as well as its black hole, arrived faster than that. Their story becomes more mysterious when NASA looks at the size of this black hole. Despite it being 9 million times larger than our Sun, it was still smaller than the majority of supermassive black holes. Specifically, most supermassive black holes are 1 billion times larger than our Sun. This makes them brighter and easier to detect from a distance. But this one was less than 1% majority of supermassive black holes, yet it is brighter and easier to detect. This discovery has puzzled the scientists to the core and even forced them to state that it is still difficult to explain how it formed so soon after the universe began. Nonetheless, this was just the tip of the iceberg. That's because after looking further away from Sears 1019, 2 more supermassive black holes were also discovered by the experts. One was part of the galaxy Sears 746 that emerged after 1 billion years of Big Bang, and the other one was Sears 2782 that occurred after 1.1 billion years of Big Bang. And if we look at their sizes, then both of them are 10 million times larger than our Sun, which is similar to Sears 1019. Not to mention the James Webb Telescope also discovered 11 new galaxies that were formed between 470 and 675 million years after the Big Bang. This means that the data produced by these ancient galaxies and supermassive black holes can revolutionize our understanding. It could help us find out how they were formed and evolved to make way for our Milky Way galaxy. For centuries, galaxies have always come up with a unique angle to surprise astronomers. When the first set of galaxies were discovered in the 17th century, French astronomer Charles Messier considered them as fuzzy objects in the sky. This later turned out to be spiral-shaped galaxies that we know today. But somewhere in the universe, there are some ghost-like galaxies that are smart enough to hide from us. You see, for centuries, leading astronomers were trying to find answers to this unexplainable event, an event that generates hundreds of new stars every year, but still failed to give the exact location of its origin. Now, the presence of hundreds of stars itself hinted toward an existing galaxy. Maybe it could be a Milky Way galaxy or something bigger than that. However, when astronomers tried to find the host of these stars, it always managed to outshine their technology and remained quietly hidden somewhere in the universe. Even the Hubble Space Telescope failed to identify its origin. But then something happened that changed our entire perspective. This blurry red figure you're looking at is exactly the one they were looking for. The experts are calling it ancient ghostly galaxies and are captured by none other than James Webb Telescope. Discovered around 900 million years after the Big Bang, these ghostly galaxies have managed to escape from the wrath of supermassive black holes, which also helped them survive all this time. An astonishing feature that convinced University of Texas professor Jed McKinney to say this thing is a real monster. Even though it looks like a little blob, it's actually forming hundreds of new stars every year. And the fact that even something that extreme is barely visible in the most sensitive imaging from our newest telescope is so exciting to me. It's potentially telling us there's a whole population of galaxies that have been hiding from us. Well, it turns out McKinney is completely right about his statement. As ghostly galaxies were invisible to previous technologies, this helps us conclude that our perception or analysis about the universe is still biased. Maybe there are more ghostly galaxies that James Webb Telescope is still failing to discover. Or maybe this is how the extraterrestrials living in such stars are using their technology to hide from us. This ring with a blue color at the center may not look similar to what you've witnessed before, but it is in fact connected with our daily lifestyle. Something that we might experience every day on Earth and is now also discovered in space. This is the image of the earliest organic molecule found in the universe, and it's similar to smoke that we find on Earth. Sure, it was discovered by the James Webb Telescope, but it baffled NASA when they realized that it existed when the universe reached only 10% of its current age. Most importantly, these molecules aren't like water or carbon dioxide. They are big, floppy molecules with hundreds of atoms inside them, thus adding more mystery on how the universe was formed. Until now, the James Webb Telescope has astonished us with multiple breakthroughs. But what we're about to see in the coming years could be something that we might never be able to understand. Like the recent breakthrough where planets do not end by their star's expansion, but by shorting their orbit that smashes the planet into the sun. A fate that our Earth could witness in the future. And just what a NASA expert said, this is just the beginning. We are standing at the edge of a whole new field of study, and Webb is leading the charge. Who knows? We might find out the actual location of the entire alien civilization. So, what are your views about the astonishing discoveries of the James Webb Telescope? Do you think it actually helps us discover alien civilization in the universe? Let us know in the comments section below. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and press the like button if you liked this video. Thank you so much for watching.